before I move on to the main topic, there are a couple things that have to be said about Mr. Lincoln.
Yes.
And that's that the man was straddled a fence very, very firmly. In 1858, Mr. Lincoln in Charleston, Illinois, said this: "I will say then that I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races, that I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And inasmuch as they can't live in equality, while they do remain together, there must be the position of superior and inferior, and I, as much as any other man, am in favor of having the superior position assigned to the white race." That's your Lincoln.
Yeah, and yet he signed the Emancipation Proclamation and led the slaves to freedom.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Excuse me.
That's what he did.
No,
Don. Come on, Don.
The Emancipation Proclamation was carefully crafted to free no slaves.
Oh, okay, and who was it freeing?
None.
The whole point...
You're going to talk over me, Christian, so I can't talk?
Don, calm down, okay?
Don't interrupt.
Hey, easy, pal. We're having a discussion here.
In which you interrupt me.
Yeah, and you do your part, too. We're talking about a civil war where you had two basic principles operating. One that had a slave-based society and the other that did not. The two went to war, and the ones that did not have a slave-based society won, and slavery was abolished. Thank you, Abraham Lincoln.
Which nation without slaves won?
What?
Which nation without slaves won?
The North was
I'm sorry.
not a
there were slaves
slave-based society. Don.
There were slaves in 4 northern states, so don't tell me the United States was without slavery.
Don, I'm not saying it was perfect.
I didn't say perfect.
I'm saying he did the work to move the equality of men forward. That's what he did, and it should be respected.
Don't tell me that the United States, the winning nation, had no slaves. That's what you said, and it's not the truth.
No, I said it was not a slave-based society. Do you have any other comments besides Lincoln?
Oh, no, I'm not quite finished with Abe yet. When he took office in 1861, he said this: "I have no purpose directly or indirectly to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists. I believe I have no lawful right to do so, and I have no inclination to do so." And so much from your hero, Mr. Lincoln. Now, "In God we trust" is nonsense. If the nation trusted in God, we wouldn't bother with the military. God would defeat our enemies for us.
You know, Don, if you would go back and read the way the Declaration was written, they explain how trusting God fits in with their personal responsibilities to stand up for what was right and true and honest and just. That was the point. The point of trusting in God is to not to sit back and say, okay, you do everything, I'll just let you because I know you're going to take care of my every whim and my every need. That's not what trusting in God is. It never has been and it never will be. There's always personal responsibility toward action.
Well,
never, ever has trust in God been without personal responsibility toward action. Ever.
In other words, you're siding with me. God and 2 aspirin will cure a headache.
No. God and trusting in Him and acting upon godly principles will cure a headache.
Well, about godly principles, the ones that were extracted from Leviticus and slapped onto the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
Proclaim freedom throughout the land, the Jubilee every 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
If that were honored by the early Americans, then slavery would have evaporated in 1826.
So you're saying godly principles are good then? Good. No, Glad to hear it.
I didn't say that. You have no right to put your stupid words in my mouth.
Easy, brother. Let's be respectful.
Don't put your words in my mouth, Rick.
All right, and don't put yours in mine, pal.
1, I'm not your pal, and 2, I didn't put my words in your mouth.
Don, we need to wrap this up, okay? You gonna wrap it up?
If early Americans respected the Word of God as anything more than cafeteria Christians who pick and choose, then they would have liberated their slaves 50 years after the Revolution. This they didn't do. It's easy to be a cafeteria Christian. The world's loaded with them, and I think you're one of them.
All right, Don. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Well, that sure certainly added a different flavor, didn't it?
Sure did.
And, you know, again, there's a couple of points here, Jonathan, need to be made. One, The fact that we, in this country, in this environment, have freedom and gives us the ability to have a conversation like that. Okay? And you know, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And you know, I have respect for Don. I obviously don't agree with him, but I have respect for him. He did say some things, though, that were very important. You know, talk about the idea of cafeteria Christian. If the nation followed the principles that they themselves laid out, he's right. Slavery would have been abolished earlier. It wouldn't have taken so long. But there was a challenge. There was an economic desire that was fighting godly principle. And eventually the godly principle won out over the economic desire. But it took some time. It doesn't mean that you don't trust in God because it doesn't work the very first time. It means that you have to apply those principles over and over and over and over again to get through. And, okay, you know what? We're going to have to take this call like really, really fast. We're going to give it like, go.
Welcome to Christian Questions. This is Jonathan and Rick.
Hey, it's Randall. I have to go back at Don about Lincoln.
Okay, very fast, sir.
All right. Am I on the air?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Lincoln's, one of his primary concerns was saving the Union.
Right.
And pulling the country together. And there can be historical arguments to be made that he only emancipated the slaves because of, his own strategic war strategies.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really his faith in God and faith in the country that held the country together. And he felt bore an enormous burden during that. And as far as like what Rick said about, having faith in God, there is an Arabic expression that says, trust in God, but tie your camel.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Randall.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, Fred, we need to go into a break at this point because it's just we're over time here. Folks, we're talking about the concept of trusting in God. We're talking about it from the standpoint of American history, which has obviously riled up a lot of folks, and from the standpoint of biblical principle and biblical promise.
This is Jonathan and Rick with Christian Questions on News Talk 104.7 WXLM. In God we trust. Stay with us.